Presione dos para español. Does that sound familiar? I know every time I call customer service line, I press 1 for English, or apparently press 2 for Spanish. Some are now even offering French and Chinese. Do you know the state of Florida is ever so close to requiring their educators to speak fluent Spanish in order to be a licensed teacher? It almost sounds absurd. But the truth is, these are terrifying facts. America has become such a melting pot, one cannot see where American citizens thrive amongst all these illegal immigrants. My name is Jonathon Rowden, and I am serving this country in the United States military. I grew up in Oregon and was the only white Caucasian on my high school soccer team. As a Caucasian male, I was a minority, but this is not uncommon in Oregon. Rich with vineyards and hard manual labor, my race had to fight to stay employed. This is because of the lenient immigration policy this country documents. I'm going to offer evidence that will leave you feeling my dismay and voting for a stricter policy. I have the knowledge, but more important, I have the experience, emotionally and physically, to give such testimony. The United States of America is struggling economically. Unemployment rates are at their all-time highs, and stocks are at their all-time lows. The American dollar is nearly worthless. These are all very confusing facts. The population has not slowed. Manufacturing has not changed. In fact, the growing population, American corporations have had to step up to the process and expedite their products just to meet the demands of the customers. Yet Americans are out of jobs. Just south of the border, Mexican citizens are being given visas just to come work for less money than the average American worker. Some small businesses, like the Oregon vineyards, hire illegal immigrants and pay them nearly half the federal minimum wage. This is because the American dollar is worth just over 12 times as much in Mexico. For every dollar a Mexican worker makes in America, he or she is making 12 pesos in Mexico. Growing up, I watched my Latino friends' parents send their paychecks to their families in Mexico, making nearly 10 times more than they were in America. After a few years, they would move back to Mexico and live quite flamboyant lives off their illegal American-made dollars. I remember my single mother having to work 2 low-paying jobs just to make ends meet because she was laid off. This was because of what my mother was being paid. The company could hire 2 immigrants, mind you, their wages not untaxed or normally under the table. Therefore, the country stands to gain nothing off these illegal immigrants. However, the corporations and CEOs are making and pocketing so much more money, making the rich rich and the poor poor. American children have to sit next to students that do not speak a word of English, maybe a simple hello or goodbye, but that's it. Special teachers holding certificates in foreign languages have to come in to educate these children, causing somewhat segregated school districts. The districts have to cut into their educational budget to hire these teachers. This takes away from proper education American children deserve. This takes away from the nutritional food American children deserve to eat while at school. Some schools are cutting out music, physical education, just to pay for these extra costs of foreign language teachers and growing population. I ask you this, is that fair? In some states, Florida being one of them, teachers are required to pay for an associate's degree, equivalency in Spanish, yet are not being offered any more salary. Teachers who do not speak Spanish are not going to be hired over the ones that do, and the government wonders why teachers go on strike. This is absolutely reprehensible. America has a structured immigration policy, but it's flawed and severely outdated. It is not hard to become a U.S. citizen. A green card holder can petition for family members back home to get green cards. Immigrants can come in on employment-based visas where they have work lined up and need a green card to become a citizen to maintain their employment. America also protects those who are feeling that they're fleeing their country due to any persecution or any other fearful event. Not to mention, America also allows a certain amount of immigrants into the country just because. Why no reason? Between all these policies, I see no protocol on immigration guidelines. With this policy, I also see no guidelines as to speaking the national language, English. Because this country is made up of over roughly 11 to 12 million unauthorized immigrants, it is a nuisance not to be bilingual. I remember when taking the foreign language in school was fun and looked on as a scholarly accomplishment. Today, it is a mandatory and looked at as an average everyday necessity. Americans have a disadvantage to the illegal immigrants in school and in the outside world. If an employer were to look at an American college graduate with 4 years of Spanish, he would think, great. But when the same employer looks at an immigrant who can do the same job and speaks fluent Spanish, he thinks perfect. There is also no stipulation on income. To become a U.S. citizen, one only has to prove they are financially stable if petitioning for a green card for family members. Even then, the green card holder must be backing at or above poverty level income. In saying so, if the green card holder is petitioning to bring in his or her spouse and 8 children, he or she must only be making $10,400 annually, which is considered at or above poverty as of 2008. I am not saying that America needs to completely close down its borders. I am simply saying that we cannot keep letting every stray cat without repercussions. Solutions are simple. It would take stress off the American government and the American people. However, not one solution will end these problems. It will take a mass compilation of various solutions to fix the crisis. The first solution: do not let anyone in who cannot prove they have an annual income of $10,400 in the bank. Meaning, by poverty standards, should the immigrant be unable to get a job within a year, he or she could still support himself or herself without the use of welfare. The second solution is to ensure that immigration can speak above conversational English. This means the immigrant can not only converse well, but understand, read, and write the English language. This will eliminate the need for teachers and other public workers to speak foreign languages, freeing up various tax dollars to the public funds. The third solution: set a cap. While I understand we as Americans want to help every person in the world find peace and harmony, the goal is just not feasible. We must set a limit as to how many immigrants we are letting in annually. Set up a waiting list. There are millions on waiting lists for kidney and heart transplants. If they can wait patiently while dying in a hospital bed or barely getting by on dialysis, I think a perfectly healthy immigrant can wait just to get into this country. The solutions are simple, and the benefits are extraordinary. Could you imagine freeing up the billions of tax dollars that is spent on foreign language translators in the school system and other public agencies? Our children would be able to experience the joys of music again, and obesity rates would go down because of the implementation of physical education again. Americans would be able to hold jobs again because they're not being competing with unauthorized immigrants for the job market, because American would be employed again. The welfare dollars would be freed up. These are more tax dollars that could be used for fixing in communities or paying local farmers to use more organic materials, which in turn reduce the E. coli outbreaks and other bacterial dilemmas in our food processes. Possibilities for freed up tax dollars are endless, and we, the people, have the say in our country again. Should the problem go unresolved, we will only see more and more poverty breaking out in the streets. There, we will be no more definition American. There will only be immigrants and terrorists, as most of our military men and women will be fighting overseas, since the U.S. coast has already been breached and corrupt. It doesn't take much on our part, a simple let of voice. We tend to forget that this country has very small numbers in government. We, the people, are more powerful than we allow ourselves to think. In numbers, we can accomplish so much. Write a letter to your congressman, your senator, or whoever you can find on the internet that's in government politics. Someone will read it. And that someone, whoever you send it to, they'll more likely agree with you. If we let our voices be heard, change will take place. But if we continue to sit back and trust the government to provide the changes we need, we will only see more and more corruption and chaos. Are you sick of seeing the government strive to please the wrong populations in America? I am. But only you can make the change. Only you can stand up for what you believe in. Nobody else can speak for you. My name is Jonathon, and I'm fighting my own battle. Will you stand with me?